Guys, it's Joe Steele here. This is the K-bar video that you have been waiting for. This is going to be the demonstration hard use on the Slabby 1310. Guys, I am really honored and excited to be bringing you this Slabby 1310 full use review. I actually did a full detailed review on this, comparing it to the original, and that's why this is such an honor for me, because it's comparing it to the original USMC fighting knife from K-Bar, which is pretty much the epitome and the staple and the iconic knife that describes K-Bar. When you think of K-Bar, like I said in the video, you think of this USMC knife. Now, besides some caveats as far as the aesthetics, I smell that leather, I do think that this K-Bar 1310 Slabby is definitely a vast improvement over the original in terms of obviously a full tang, and yes, it will be called a full tang from this point on because it is a full tang. The type of grip, the locking grip that you have, the non-slippage, the incredible balance that they put on this knife by cutting out that piece of the slab, okay, in terms of the tang, they made this such an incredibly well-balanced knife. Really nice sharp edge out of the box, and just a really comfortable grip in many different positions. Now, in its heart, it is a fighting knife, and we are going to show some slicing and dicing and showing you how kind of it feels and it moves in the hand, which I did do it on the other shorts already, but we'll do some more slicing on this video. And then we are going to do some hard use on the knife to show you basically how strong the knife is, how the edge is going to hold up, how the point holds up in terms of piercing and stabbing, and how comfortable it is in the hand. Now, I do have some new scales that I'm going to be putting on this knife from Lucas Carroll. Carroll's Custom Knife Scales, I believe, is the exact site. You'll see it on the screen here. I wanted to kind of test it with the original ones because this is basically what you're going to get out of the box. And I wanted to show you how this feels, if there's any slippage, how it feels in the hand throughout all the cutting testing. And then we're going to slip on those new scales from Lucas Carroll, which are absolutely phenomenal. And then we're going to do another video on that to show you how it improves the aesthetic of the knife, how it looks a little bit more like the original USMC fighter knife with the leather stock handles, and also how much better of a grip it's going to be with those really wonderful micarta handles compared to the nylon handles are here. But I'll let you know at the end how this feels and if there's any slippage or anything whatsoever that would make me uncomfortable using the knife. So that's why I wanted to keep these scales on it to do the demonstration review. Let's get into it, guys. Let's do some slicing, some cutting, some hard use, and let's show you what this K-Bar Slabby 1310 has and how I think, honestly, it is vastly improved over the original. One thing about this knife, guys, it's very light and nimble to hand. The only limitation this knife has is the limitation of the user, meaning myself. If you have someone basically very adept to basically moving a knife and fighting with knife and have quick movements of the knife, this knife will sing in your hands. So for somebody basically who trains in the art of fighting with a knife, this is definitely the knife for you. The balance of it is incredible. It feels great in the hand. It's a great slice, a great edge out of the box, and you know that this knife is going to work for you in the purpose of the knife in pretty much where it was designed for. Excellent slicing, attack, and defense knife. Now, we're going to be cutting all kinds of things with this thing, but the initial sharpness of the knife is definitely there. This is a short sandblade hose, but I think I can kind of get a good grip to show you how good of a cutter this is out of the box. And it's excellent. Excellent cutter. Wow. Guys, I made this look like very easy, but believe me, this sandblade hose, if you guys seen Scab's channel or my channel, you know how tough this thing is to cut. And this did a really great job kind of slicing through it, better than a lot of knives do. Some knives really do have a big problem and a hard time cutting through it. But because of the balance of the knife, the edge, the cutting geometric, I think it did a great job. Very impressed with how well cut. And if you're behind enemy lines and you need to splice some cable, okay, or whatever it is, you need to splice your cable or wiring and stuff like that, you can definitely do it with this knife. It's that type of cutter. And cutting through this copper wire type of thing, even though I made a mess of it, it just did a great job. Yeah, this is just as the type of edge that I would expect K-Bar to give me, especially on this type of knife that is labeled as a fighter utility type of knife. Now, I want to show you basically why it's such a good utility type of knife compared to the original, which I explained in the video, because you don't have a guard right here. So you can choke up on a knife and use it to do your wood processing. This is something you definitely could not do at all. Or you could, but really you would have to kind of arch your thumb and it would dig into the flesh of your thumb here on your hand, and it would be extremely uncomfortable. But now you can really choke up on it and do your feather sticking and do the stuff that you would need to do as a utility or survival type of knife. If this is the only knife you had in your hand, and that's basically what it's for. And wow, this is a great slicer. I have always been a fan of Krovan, 1095 Krovan steel. Some people say like, oh, it's priced too much because it's just giving you Krovan, but there's nothing wrong with Krovan. Krovan is one of the better high carbon steels out there. 1095 is something that I know from my sword years, or my current sword years, that 1095 has always been a very reliable, tough, resilient type of steel that has pretty good edge retention, and it's also really good to sharpen and kind of bring back to form. So there's nothing wrong with giving you a good Krovan steel, that they are professionals in kind of heat treating and using. Finish is great, the cut and geometric is great, and excellent feel, and in terms of basically using as a utility knife, but it's definitely the heart of a fighter, but can do so much more. It's kind of took the staple of the original and improved it a lot better. Okay guys, is this a banger? No, it's not a banging type of knife, but I am going to basically push this hard. I want to push the edge hard. I want to push the point hard. I want to see basically if the tang is going to snap on me, as people say they would. It's not as strong, but just some more aggressive use on this knife to show you how strong the knife is, and if anything dislodges or gets loosened or anything like that, as some people complained as well. Definitely bites, sticks. Wow. This is not meant to be a big hitter, but it definitely hits like a big hitter. What I noticed with this knife is doing some hard hits. This dog nose or dog head type of pommel, your hand locks into place here. So you're not slipping. So you can basically you can kind of just rely on the knife staying in your hand when you're doing chopping, and it's not going to slip out. It's not going to move forward. It's not going to move backwards. So very good design on this to make it not only great for fighting purposes, but also great, excuse me for that side to my breath, because I was really going hard on this, but also great to not slip out of your hand when you're doing some chopping and stuff like that. So again, furthering the ability of calling it a all-round utility fighting knife outdoors. The edge is perfectly fine. I don't see any chips or anything that really would annoy me or bother me. It looks pretty damn good. Let's do a quick tip test. So far, so good. Listen, be honest, guys. You want to break any tip will break. But under reasonable circumstances, basically, this did a good job kind of digging into wood and moving it side to side. That would normally break a tip that's not heat tempered well or something that can perform. And I would imagine that this thing is a strong knife and it's going to perform just fine. So no surprise there, but just to show you on camera how the tip does survive and the tip can be used. Let's test the balance of the knife, guys. Donnie B all day drop test, 4-foot drop test. Beautiful balance, beautiful. Exactly how it feels is exactly how it's falling. This is a prime way of showing you exactly how well balanced this knife is. Do all knives fall like this? No. This is an extremely well balanced knife. And that just basically reinforces what this knife is made for. Look how straight that thing falls. Phenomenally good. Wow. Yeah, this is, right here you're seeing, guys, how well balanced this knife is and how it falls into place so well. The center of gravity basically goes right to the point and it falls perfectly fine. Great throwing knife. If you're a knife thrower, I think you could definitely throw this knife no problem. So far, guys, also the handle feels good. The handle does feel good with whatever I use it for. I didn't feel any slippage. Not like I think I would, because regardless of the handle, the lip here and the lip here, your hand stays firmly in place. Will the micarta handles from Lucas Carroll feel better? Absolutely. It'll feel a little better in the hand and more grippy. And it'll just give it a much better look. But as far as basically balance, throwing ability, and how it lands and how the point lands, absolutely phenomenal. This is every bit as a great quality throwing knife as it is anything else. This feels really good. Wow, great penetration. Before we do some batoning, let's do some stabbing and see basically the stabbing and how it feels in the hand. Again, no slippage. The sneaker has seen better days. And really good penetration, right through. Excellent. There you go. Somebody had told me that this is painful to see. It's definitely painful if you think about this knife going right through your foot. But hey, listen, if this is all you have and you got to kind of penetrate somebody's foot to get somebody off you, dang, they're not going nowhere. They're going to be enlarged into the floor right through their foot. Has a slice still. Let's try this hard rubber. Look at that beauty cut. Look at that beauty cut. Wow. That's fantastic. Still cutting strong right through this hard rubber, this semi-hard rubber. It's not super hard, but you know, it's still showing you that it's still a great slicer even after all that abuse on the edge so far. Timing to put more pressure on the edge and just the whole overall construction. And the point, of course. The whole point of this is to not really go through it because this thing is plagued with knots. It's a hard piece of wood. But I want to show you basically how much I'm really going to town and hitting this thing hard. The point of this exercise, guys, was to put a lot of pressure on the point, on the spine, and on the handle. And from what I can see here, the handle is perfectly tight, nothing loosened up. The spine feels good, the scales feel good. The edge feels like, or it looks like, there's no bends or rolls or anything like that. It's perfectly straight. And the point is perfectly straight. So yeah, guys, if there's a question basically how tough this knife is, I hope I answered it with doing this kind of small testing. You know, the hard batoning into that impossible wood to go through with this unsharpened swedge that really killed the baton stick, just to put a lot of pressure on the knife itself and the construction. I think this shows basically how tough this knife is. And I don't think that the original USMC fighter would have kind of handled that type of abuse. I think something would have bent, something would have chipped. Maybe the older one, but the newer one's probably built a little bit better. But the grip, the handle, the non-slippage is good. It's a strong knife. Okay guys, tire stabbing became an essential part of my test. This is officially the scab tire stabbing test to show you the grip of the knife, if there's any slippage, how the penetration is, and how it's gonna still cut through the steel belted material here. And there's no doubt about it, penetration is there. It is absolutely every bit of a slasher, a cutter, a penetrator, fighting knife, as it is a utility type knife. Excellent, right through to the other tire. Let's go this way. Let's do some cutting. And you can see how it still has a great cutting edge, even through this really tough tire material. Final thoughts coming up. All this carnage that this knife kind of left behind. It's, listen, I think it's kind of every bit of an improvement over the original fighting knife, the original USMC fighting knife, which is a staple, an icon in K-Bar is that knife, is this 310 Slabby. I'm looking at the finish. The finish really did hold up pretty well. You got a couple blemishes here, but no scratches, no deep scratches. This the coating that they put, blade coating they put on this, even going through the steel belted stuff, the sandblast holes, and the tire, which definitely rips up a cheap coating or not well done coating. The coating is pretty good. The edge is great. The point is great. Nothing is rolled. This knife is awesome. This knife handled all the rough testing. Hopefully this type of testing that I did kind of silenced the critics a little bit of this not being a tough knife. Listen, if I wanted to bend or break this knife, perfectly bendable, perfectly breakable. Any knife can be broken. Give it to Joe X, that's his purpose, that's what he does. You give this knife to Joe X, it'll take him a bit, but this thing will break, like all knives do. But on the normal conditions and what they're trying to achieve with this knife, being a fighter, a balanced fighting knife, a defense knife, an offensive knife, something that's comfortable in the hands and locks your grip for fighting purposes and utility purpose by giving you the less of a guard here, taking off the guard on the top, giving you a great cutting geometric, the proven, tried and true Crovan 1095 steel that K-Bar does so well with their knives and Spartan blades. You got a winning combination, guys. I know this is a first run version. I know they're gonna be making improvements. I made my recommendations as far as what I think should change. I'll leave the link to that video up here or at the end of this video of my initial comparison between the original knife, because I think it's an equally important review as this one. So the point you've been waiting for, guys, what is my steel mindset on this 1310 Slabby from K-Bar? Vast improvement over the original. I think K-Bar did a fine job in kind of executing this, and they made one tough ass knife that fits the bill in many different areas. K-Bar, I'm a big fan, and I love what you guys did with this. I'm looking forward to all the future renditions of the updated knives from your vast history of knives.